That's okay.
So, my goodness, mix up. I don't know how I got that so wrong. I put out I was going to be speaking with Alex this morning at 9 o'clock, thinking that it was going to be his, oh, I don't know what time now, but anyway, over in Mexico, and that was 2 in the morning, and then realised the mistake while I was live. But anyway, well, yeah, it's midday for you now, isn't it?
Yes, hi Jackie. Yes, it's midday, but actually it's 1 o'clock p.m. So yeah, I know it's I get it wrong all the time. I have actually my watch, which is still in some different time zone in Mexico, so don't mix it up. Because when we are in, for example, in San Miguel, it's an hour difference. So it's all these different time zones. It's very confusing, and of course, the UK time is even more confusing.
I'm just going to start by showing this, but anyone can look this up. So I'm not going to read it all, but I did read it all this morning. But yeah, this is your website. Is that the one you would show, the website you would show?
Yes.
Yes. So aquan.co.uk. And that tells you all about Dr. Alex Ling and what you're all about. But yeah, I won't read through all of that, but you can easily go to aquan, aquan.co.uk, and you'll find out all about Dr. Alex. I'm fortunate enough to know Dr. Alex Ling through a really good friend of ours, Bob Dibdin, and I've just literally been out with him. The weirdest thing, he was telling us a story about when you lived at Balmoral, or near Balmoral. Yes. We were all at lunch together, and he was telling this story, and as he was telling it, you started to phone.
See, synchronicity.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had it on silent as well. I'd just shown them something on my phone. So it wasn't that I had the phone out to be rude or anything, but it was right in front of me, which I'd not even had the phone out before then. I'd had it in front of me, and he started to tell that story, and then he said, "Is that Alex ringing you?"
You can't make it up. It's amazing.
You can't. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I just thought it'd be lovely to catch up with you, Alex, because when you went out, was it 10 weeks ago?
About 10 weeks, yeah.
Did you ever imagine you'd still be out there now?
Yes, I'm still here because the research has taken such a turn that I decided to prolong my stay here because it's just so important. The water blueprints, which we are extracting, I'll explain that in a minute anyway, have been incredible. So full of information, and it changed literally from just fragments of information to a whole story. So it's just amazing. And here, where I am at the minute, is Bacala. And Bacala has a beautiful lagoon, which is, in my opinion, probably the most beautiful water source I've ever seen. Not just because of the 7 colors, ranging from dark blues to turquoise to incredible spectrums of light. And but also the history of this place, because there are some minerals in there which are 3.5 billion years old. I mean, it's just, the blueprint of it is incredible, getting probably as close to the blueprint of creation as possible.
And how could that be measured that it's 3.5 billion years old?
Well, this is from some other areas where they extracted some material and they dated it in a specific way. It's a bit like carbon dating, I guess. That's so close as I can explain it very quickly. Yeah. And some of the microbes which are in the water are also 3.5 billion years old. So it's absolutely amazing. This water source has so many cenotes, which are literally almost like sinkholes, which are created when the planet had the cooling period, and so it formed these incredible bubbles, which then at some point collapsed, and then you're ending up with this beautiful cenote, which is a water source within the water, literally. They're like cave-like structures, and so you can dive into the cenotes, and it's like a world on its own. It's absolutely incredible. So yes, I've been doing a lot of swimming and diving to collect all sorts. I mean, literally like hundreds and hundreds of different water samples from Mexico, all over Mexico, from the desert in the northern part to the southern part, to the western part. And we have been traveling extensively over over the period of 10 weeks. And also to include a tour for people who would like to join in and to come with us on this, we call it Aquan Explorers, which has the most incredible destinations, really one-in-a-lifetime events. And also we are very closely working together with the indigenous people, of course, of, for example, Ejido La Flor, a beautiful community consisting of just 15 people left in the village, but they are so close to nature. There's no Wi-Fi. It's in a zone of silence, and life is still the same there as it is thousands of years ago, literally. I mean, they are heavily relying on the plants around them, and they use it for medicine, they use it for food. Their knowledge about living off the land in such conditions like the desert is incredible. And so they're sharing with us also, because they're the descendants of the Eretillas, which are the Laguneros, and they also have this deep, deep connection to water. They're also protecting the tortoises, which are the bulls, and the tortoises, which are known in the area, and they're only like a few hundred left worldwide. So it's all been an incredible journey, trying to protect the waters as well as working with the indigenous communities to make future plans to avoid that, not only that they are running out of water, but the water sources are disappearing because of corruption between certain individuals and some farming communities, which are quite reckless and trying to use the water for their advantage. So there's always, it was a real eye-opener, because I wasn't aware how serious these problems are, which these people have to endure. But on this journey, I've learned so much about their lifestyle and where the problems are and how we can fix it and how we can move forward into the future to protect these incredible sources of water.
Water is the basis of our life, really, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's what you're looking into, because it's not been treated as sacredly as it should be. And we don't treat it sacredly as we should do. I mean, it is our life force as much as air.
Yeah, absolutely. Without water, nothing would exist, to be quite frank. And I think on this journey, I have seen a lot of ancient water sources, which are so important. It's a little bit like a woodland. If you have the mother tree within the woodland, all the other trees are literally communicating with one tree. And this one tree is the center of it all, not just energetically, but also through the wisdom that tree contains. So it's the same as the water sources. The water sources have certain mother sources, if you like, of water, which still have this original blueprint of creation, which is coming from the cosmos. And this is so important. These are pure healing waters. And by entering the water physically, you can also feel the difference. Going to Bacala, for example, the first time I entered the water, it was incredible. It's almost, it's like a lot thicker than any other water. It's almost like water plasma. And I spent about an hour in the water, and I didn't experience a heavy detox, but some of the people who were with me the next day had like a huge detox from all the minerals in the water. And I had a few nagging kind of pains from previous fractures, and they completely disappeared. I'm completely pain-free here. I mean, it's just amazing. And the water is has that kind of healing potential. But there are other water sources around the world who just forgotten about it, or they're being manipulated or used by other big corporations who are using that water for their own production. And I remember this from Germany, being in Gerolstein, which is one of the most famous springs, I think, and still is. People would go there for a spa, and they would go there with their problems, if it is arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or any kind of condition they had, and they would go there to the spas, entering these incredible springs and drinking from the water as well, of course, and they would feel a lot better and would be healed. So, and these kind of places have been, and still are, dotted all around the world. So what we are trying to do is to protect these kind of sources and make them accessible again to people and make them aware of these kind of sources, to say, hey, you need to do your own bit now. So we give you all the information, but you need to literally try and help to protect the water, but also make people aware that this water is available to you, so that we can actually go back into consuming, drinking, living water, which is so essential. And the rich people do this. They go and buy water which costs around $150 per 750 ml, and they get it shipped from places like the Antarctic or Greenland or other sources where the water is still very pure, and it is literally living water. So that has really an incredible impact on your health. And that's why I was working with structured water and aquam to replace these kind of living waters through structured water and fusing it with frankincense, gold, and myrrh, which we had incredible results and still have. But initially, really, everybody should have access to water in that way. So one of the things is that in history, if you go back 10,000 years, or not even as long, times of King Solomon, for example, just like 1000 BC, there are texts which are freely available, and you can look them up online as well. But I've seen them when I traveled, for example, to Turkey, and an archaeologist friend has shown me these kind of texts. And they're talking from the kings who would literally forbid the public to drink from these living water sources. And there was a law enforced that nobody would access these waters anymore, and it would be replaced with the waters of the cisterns, which been built by the kings or through the kings. So, and that had an incredible impact on us as humans, because we have disconnected ourselves from quite a number of our own possibilities. So spiritually talking, but also physically, it has a direct impact on our pineal gland. And that has been proven over the last few years as well. So, but immensely compromising our immune system, because in our spine, for example, we have, of course, a fluid, spinal fluid, which is also structured. So, and by consuming unstructured water, we do compromise our own cellular water, which, if we would have access to living water, would be almost, it's almost like you're repairing the DNA through that. So that's why we are so keen to get people reconnected with these kind of water sources, so they can take better care of their health And we can also, most importantly, reconnect with the water itself, because water is intelligent. It has a memory, and it shows us all sorts of different information. So on this journey, I was blown away by everything I've seen through the water. And the more blueprints I have been looked at, it's almost like I've absorbed some of this information. So I've been kind of guided to different places, and that's partially why I'm still here, because the water is communicating, showing me other places. And so when I follow it up, I'm learning that there is a link between different water sources. Some are thousands of kilometers apart from each other, but sharing the same current. So there's a whole network on this globe reflecting what is possibly coming from the cosmos, a direct connection between the earth and the sky. And that is also the connection which many of the shamans are still practicing even today, and previously, thousands of years ago, connected to the pyramids, where they have used water as the material or the element to be connected and build that connection spiritually between the physical and the spiritual side. So there's a lot of information which we harvested. And one of the things which I wanted to talk to you today about it as well is that we had an incredible idea to build a network of water guardians. And these water guardians can consist of literally anybody and everybody who has a passion about water and wants to know more about their own water source. It could be a well, a spring, a river, the ocean. It could be any water source. And we will provide a kit which you have to purchase, and the purchase and the money through that purchase goes straight away back into funding people from Ejido La Flor who are fighting back to preserve their water, or for the tortoises, or for our own research, so that we can continue this. And so you purchase this kit, which consists of some information and a test tube for the water. And you fill it up with your water, and then you send it back to us, and then we are going to analyze the water and give you the water blueprint in return, which is a beautiful image, especially from your water. And you can work with that water and with that blueprint. So the blueprint as such really is not just, as I said, it's not just information. It carries literally the whole energetic blueprint of that water. And it's really, really interesting to see that. It's like a personal message from your water.
Amazing. I mean, that's such a good idea. And that you have to buy the kit, because you're not going to get any silly waters being sent to you. If they've taken the time to buy the kit to know what their water contains or what the history, yeah, amazing. What a good idea.
Yes, and that why we're doing this mainly is, of course, for the information, personal information, and you can meditate with the water and do your spiritual work. But also it allows us to be starting with the UK only at this point, because we call them water ambassadors, who are we putting into place. And these ambassadors will be specially trained to analyze the water and take the blueprint. Because otherwise we have the problem that we have to cross borders, and if you cross borders, then the water will get radiated. And that needs to be avoided. So that's why we have, each country will have its own water ambassadors, who are the people who collect the water. But then we have, the guardians, who are the people who work with the water. And then we have the ambassadors who will analyze the blueprint. So we're looking actively at the moment. We have already covered a few countries, but we are still looking for some people in Europe, for example, who would do the same job. So With this network, what we do is we're going to have a global mapping system of all the different waters and all the different blueprints, which we then can cross-reference and see which water sources are communicating with each other. And not only that, we can use this information also to heal certain waters. And we have done that with a water source here in Chapala, who energetically was in a very poor state. And we can see that water can help each other by introducing a different blueprint to a water which is in need. Besides that, we also will have a network of people who will monitor their water, and if there's any problem like pollution or anything, we have already a global network in place of people who will raise the alarm and can take action to write to their governments and make international pressure so that the water can be protected. So that is really why we're doing this.
Wow, that is a phenomenal project, but also an amazing thing that, you know, the gratitude of what you're doing, Alex, is just incredible. You know, incredible. So for people everyday water that, you know, we just filter the water. Tomorrow, for instance, in the New Forest, they've got a talk going on. A lady's going to give a talk about shungite in the water. I mean, just as is that alone quite a good thing to do, you know, as well as filtered water, but to then put shungite in it?
Yes, shungite is very good if you know how much to add to your water. Because if you have too much of shungite in your water, that can be harmful for you as well. But in very small microdoses, it's very good. It filters out really all the toxins.
And she's also got something you can attach to a tap, that even just the tap water could be drunk straight away.
Yes. I don't know, I haven't seen the studies of that, but I do know that shungite is very good, but you need to also restructure the water because tap water is not structured anymore, it's not living anymore at all. So, and the problem is that water is like a child. It kind of absorbs the information, if it is good or bad. So we need to find a way of restructuring the water from the tap, which there are devices which are general, to restructure the water, and then you can put new information into that. So that is one way which I know works to get rid of all the heavy metals and the fluorides and stuff like this. But just alone with shungite, I don't know. I haven't seen the study. I wouldn't say it does or doesn't work.
Just thinking, I mean, what you're doing is amazing, but us living here every day, what we can do, and also to bless your water before you drink.
Absolutely, bless and talk to your water, hold your water close to your heart, just put good intentions into it. And water really, really is, as I said, it's like a blank canvas. It absorbs all these kind of beautiful emotions, because emotions are vibrations and frequencies, and water is, of course, very susceptible to that. So it just absorbs it. That's why we can create semantics on top of the water surface coming from vibrations. And I've seen this here on the lakes and other water sources, which there are semantics which have been produced because there's barely any wind, except today because we had a storm last night. But usually it's very, very still here. And you can see on the Laguna that there is a beautiful pattern of semantics. And it's by introducing just a tiny breeze of the wind, but also through the sun. And I never seen that quite so beautiful as it is on this surface. It's like a glass surface, the Laguna. And it's just incredible. So, but yes, every water is grateful for any positive input And don't forget also that we are water as well, we are water vessels. And so we respond to this as well. So by talking to the water, we're also talking to the water inside ourselves. And so that's really important, to treat ourselves with respect and as much love as we can. So I think the whole year has been around water, because I think we as humans needed to be made aware that we shouldn't go down that dark tunnel where we are in fear and have anxiety about the future, because we can change it. We don't have to go down that route. And just by raising the vibration between us humans and be connected to each other through water is an incredible thing, really powerful thing to do. So, and our ancestors did know how important water was for us humans.
Yes.
Not just for drinking.
Yes. And also, what would you say about all the rain that's falling, obviously in the UK, but in many other countries as well? I know that's not what you're on about particularly, but have you got anything to say on that? And then we'll do the slideshow.
Sure. Yes, I've been talking to some elders about it here, and because then Mexico had some areas which got flooded quite heavily as well. And the elders and the indigenous communities talking from the new land, which is going to rise up from the oceans. And they say that it's like a cleansing of the earth. So that's why all the water is coming down to cleanse the earth. We also have, of course, from a scientific point of view, we have at the moment the solar maximum, and the solar activity is quite high. So we have a lot of solar flares, and many of them are responsible, of course, for the beautiful auroras, which we had on the 10th of May, for example. And it's actually a very rare event, because usually these auroras only be seen like on one hemisphere. But this solar cycle 25 is special, and it's a repeat of the cycle actually which occurred just about 13,000 years ago. And in ancient texts you could see that people would go into higher grounds and would desert their dwellings because there was a flood issue, of course, as well. But this event was extreme because one of the flares actually caused the ice melt, and then there was a huge flood globally which took place. So let's hope it's not going to be that way. But yes, at the moment, I think it is just like a cleansing process. That's what everybody is saying from the indigenous community, and to pay attention to nature, pay attention to water, and just kind of reconnect, just stop going forward into a future where we are completely disconnected from nature.
Thank you, Alex. Shall I show the slideshow now?
Yeah, sure.
Lovely. So Alex has sent me all these photos. If I just open. How can I make that bigger? Oh, there.
That's it. You just tap on it.
Brilliant. Yeah, that hasn't gone to the first one. I don't think that was the first one you sent me. Oh, there. Oh, perhaps it was. That was the first one. Is that right? Am I in the right order?
I think you might be, but I can't see it very well because it's so small. It has
to me, that's the whole screen. Let's
right.
stop the share a minute. I'll just go back screen share. If I have you got access to the photos if I make you a co-host?
I only have it on WhatsApp.
Oh no, that's fine. No, because I've got them in a folder. But I thought that looked to me. I wonder if Bob, if you're watching, Bob, could you let me know if that was a whole screen for you? Oh, I know what I'll do, actually. If I get the first picture up, I'll just do that a minute.
Yeah, I think in a folder you can't watch it. You have to.
Yeah, so if I went to the folder, perhaps that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got to share screen and I can't see it.
If
Sorry.
you.
Oh, it's gone there. Am I on share screen? No.
Yeah.
Am I on share screen?
No, not yet. No.
Okay, sorry, I'll escape out of that then.
Don't worry.
Okay, let's just go to Zoom, share screen. Now I should be able to find it.
Ah. Okay. Yeah, that's not in order, but it doesn't matter. We're just gonna walk through it.
Brilliant.
Yes. I
Start there.
didn't even know I shared that one. So yes, this is one of our team. There's actually someone missing there, but this is just I can't remember where we were. Oh yes, near Teotihuacan. That's right, near the pyramids. And we just had a little snack. I don't know why it shared this one because I actually didn't share that one.
Okay.
This is from Teotihuacan. So that's like the Sun Pyramid, which is dedicated to Quetzalcoatl. And so we went there actually, and I was a little bit disappointed. I called it, and I hope nobody's offended, especially if people from Mexico are listening. I called it the Disneyland of pyramids because we learned from many archaeologists who are a bit more open-minded that actually the structures are not very sympathetically rebuilt in its original way. So that's why it's a huge tourist attraction, but I was a bit disappointed about the energies, to be honest.
Were you able to do anything to change the energy?
I think there's a lot of good people going there to do some spiritual work, and that helps. But it doesn't help that they're blocking off certain areas of the pyramid, so we're not allowed to go for whatever reason. And yes, I think in general it's just like a bit like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is beautiful in a way, but on the other side, it has not been erected in the way it originally was, and also that people are not allowed to go close to the stones doesn't help.
Yeah.
So it's a bit a similar situation there. So yeah, that's one of the tunnels which we visited, which is underneath the pyramid area. It actually is a private entrance from one of the houses. And many tunnel systems are, as we know, there are huge amounts of tunnel systems everywhere, but especially under the pyramids, there are lots and lots of different areas which have tunnels, and they are all connecting to each other, but also some of them have springs and water sources, especially under one of the main streets. And a few years back, they found some mercury underneath the pyramid. And that mercury was put there on purpose to preserve the blueprint which they put into the water to stop or manipulate the water, more like, so that they could govern the people or control the people in a better or easier way. So as very often the water sources dry up, they put mercury in the water, which then would absorb this blueprint and would stay there forever unless you would remove it. So these are one of the latest kind of things which are researched, and there have been quite a few different pyramids in Mexico, but also in different countries who have also mercury underneath the structures. And that's very interesting because nobody really paid much attention to it. And many archaeologists argue that it would be from a natural source, but that is absolutely impossible. We need a geyser or some hot spring which is connected to the sites to produce the mercury or to get the mercury to come to the surface. So, which is not the case in any of those structures. So, yeah, so that's one of the tunnels. And the next one is, oh yes, then we travel to Mapimi in the zone of silence, our favorite place, the Ejido La Flor. You just click through the next pictures. And for the first time, we were able to get permission to go to the laboratory, which is very close to San Ignacio. San Ignacio is a volcano, not active anymore, but has a huge magnetic field. If you have a compass on you, your compass is spinning endlessly, and the energetic field is incredible. I'm kind of fit, but 1,440 meters was the climb to the top, and in quite hot weather conditions. So, and I have never climbed any mountain that effortless as I have climbed San Ignacio. Absolutely incredible. It induced a lot of oxygen into our bloodstream, and we were all kind of really easy on the hike up into to the summit of the mountain. So the next, yeah, that's when we are almost on the top, and that's Kathleen and Joelle who came with us, and an incredible sight. I mean, you can see the desert behind it, and that used to be all ocean.
Wow.
Yes, so you can still find that's Ignacio in its beauty. So the mountain is owned by one private person. It's an American, and nobody knows who he is. The mountain has so many conspiracies and stories about UFOs, underground tunnels, all sorts of different things which are happening there. People have seen people who claim to be from the Pleiades, people or beings who were exceptionally tall and helped people in the area of the desert to get out of tricky situations.
Oh, you've frozen, Alex. I'll go to the next one, which won't help at all because I don't know what to say about it. Oh, come back, Alex. Oh, I wonder why that's happened. I can message him on WhatsApp. He might have to go out and come back in again. I'll just say that to him. Oh, I'm on a full screen here. So I can't even mute. Well, I just message him. You've frozen, Alex. Oh, he has gone out. He probably is coming back in again. Yes. Sorry about this. I don't know what to say about this because I obviously wasn't there. Oh, come back. All is forgiven. I don't know. That might be part of the... I'm not even going to guess at it. I'll stop the share for a minute. And no idea what I'll talk about. Shall I pause? Actually, I'll pause the recording while this is... Started again.
Oh my, yes, I was in the middle of talking about San Ignacio, so I don't know if you can access the slide.
Yes.
But this is so weird because I had a big show with Coast to Coast just a week or so ago. And I started to talk about San Ignacio, and I got cut off as well.
Wow.
Every time I speak about San Ignacio, something happens.
Wow, how odd is that?
Very strange. So yes, this whole area is a UFO hotspot, and even the indigenous people say freely they live amongst us. So it's quite incredible. The whole area is so full of mysterious kind of events. So this is just on the other side of San Ignacio, and we have found a cave which had some markings of the indigenous people from the Eritreas, which lived over 2,000 years and probably a lot longer in the area. So the next one is, I think, just showing the cave. Yeah. So this is a cave dwelling. So they used to hide there or use it as shelter for the hunt. So we were not allowed to show the inscriptions of that cave. So we do respect that, and we don't give the location, of course. But it was an incredible event, and beautiful experience to feel this really ancient energy. So of course we took also some samples of some water which we had with us from a local water source, and we used it to get the print of these markings in the cave. So the next one is, I think, yes. So this is a nearby hot spring, absolutely beautiful. It's like a cave. You go inside through the water, and it's a healing spring. And the blueprint of that spring was so beautiful. And you feel incredible. The water is at all times 40 degrees. It was quite hot. And it's coming out of one of the walls. And you can stand underneath, and you can get the whole shower of this beautiful water and feel a lot better after. So that's one of the places which we visited, which is called Hacienda de dos Remedios. This is the two elders of the village in Mapimi in Ejido La Flor. And these are the most beautiful souls, incredibly kind people. On the left is Nestor and his wife Cleo, and they are so welcoming every time we are there. We are part of the family, and they show us how they cook and they prepare food, and be actively involved in the whole process. Last time I fixed that kiln, often because it was cracking all over. So, and it's just such a beautiful community, and everybody just draws together and helps.
Yeah, can't you? How lovely and kind they are.
Yes, and so knowledgeable, absolutely amazing.
Oh.
Nestor, who is in his 70s, he is still working at least eight hours on a horse with his cattle in the desert in the most incredible conditions, like the heat and the lack of rain. It hasn't rained there for 18 months. So it's really harsh, it's tough. But they are standing their ground, they're not leaving. They're the only last few of this indigenous group, and that's why we try and help them.
Oh.
So that's in Linda Vista. That's another desert area on the edge of the zone of silence. And we camp out usually in the middle of the desert. There are ancient dunes from this beautiful ancient ocean, which used to be there over 200 million years ago. But the water still, the sand still has all the information of these blueprints of the water. And you can find seashells and little sea creatures and in the sand. I mean, it's just a very, very special area. And this is the center of all UFO activities. We have seen in the 2 nights we stayed there a lot of activity above our heads, and something tried to make contact with us while we were there. It's a long story, but we just came at the point when in the sky there was a portal forming, and Eva and Eugenio, who are living on the edge of this desert, they actually own all of the land there and some of the mountains. So they are protecting these kind of areas from people who have no good intention, for example. And so we work together with these people as well, and so we preserving the rock carvings, and some are, so we have been told by the indigenous people, are 200 million years old. Wow. So which puts a big question mark on our own history, for sure.
What an experience, Alex.
Yes, yeah. So this is, we were very honored to go to one of the dwellings of the Eretillas in that part of the desert. And it was a dwelling where they lived. Again, we were not allowed to show any other picture as this one. But inside there were paintings of animals and symbols which pointed out to water. There was a form of a calendar which they used for their lunar cycle. So they were very intelligent, very advanced people. Again, you can see very easily that the whole area there was literally the ocean. And you can understand why they would live on the shores of these waters. So, yeah, so it must have been absolutely beautiful in the time when it still existed. So then we went back to San Miguel, and outside San Miguel is this beautiful pyramid, and it's on private land, but you can go and visit it. And it's one of the most preserved pyramids in the area. There are others, but they're either on private land or they are in the jungle and completely overgrown. So we haven't found that many pyramids which are accessible.
Were you allowed to go up the steps?
Oh yes, yeah, we went up the steps and we had a look. On top is a little chamber and a fire pit, which has existed for at least a good 1,000 years. And yeah, so this is like Mayan ground, and but there's not much of the history known as such, except there's a different part behind this pyramid again, which is a courtyard. And this courtyard, actually in front of the steps, you can see, used to be filled with water, possibly a lot deeper than it is today. And the shaman would stand in the center of the courtyard and would chant to the water. And that way they would create the semantics, and they would be all connected to the ceremony. So the reason that they do this is to have the connection between the earth and the sky, which is a direct connection to the waters of the cosmos. Wow. And so for them, it's totally normal and natural for the shamans to have that connection between the earth and the sky. So the water is literally the communicator between the two. So, and that's why water is really the biggest connection between all these megalithic sites, even here, even in Britain, and all the other all other structures like this one, is the water source which we revisited when we found this incredible pyramid outside San Miguel, and this one was also on private land, or is, and nobody knew about it, but the archaeologists who investigated the area called me and said, Alex, you need to come and see this pyramid and its water source, which was at the point when I came there the first time, there was no water, not a drop. So we had these incredible ideas with the shamans to reintroduce a different water to the water underneath the pyramid to entice the water to come up again to the surface. And we did it. We drove our 3,500 kilometers back and forward to collect the water from two different sources, one representing the earth, which is the cave, which you have shown just a few slides ago, which is a hot spring. And the other one is Quattro Senegas, which is like 4 different lagoons, and that one is called the Eye, which is connected to the sky. So we had water samples from both areas. We brought it back to the top of the pyramid, which is about 200 meters away from the water source. And so we stood on top of the pyramid and we introduced the water into the pyramid. And then the shaman said, 4 days, it will take 4 days for the water to communicate with the water deep down. And the next time we visited, which was just about 3 or 4 days after, the water levels has been rising and this beautiful water was present. So it's really quite incredible what kind of impact or how we can change certain things through energetic work with water. And if I wouldn't have seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. But it's really incredible what happened in that specific space. So the next one is, yes. So that's really interesting. There should be one slide before that, or maybe not. Okay, right. Okay,
not that one.
Okay, maybe one. Yeah, that's one. So we visited a tree, which is a tree. If you go to the next one first on the right side. Yes.
That one?
No,
or this one?
Yeah, that one. So you can see in the middle there is like one too much. You get it right.
Oh, sorry, the last one.
Yeah, that one. Just freeze there for a moment. We visited a beautiful tree in Mexico, which is the second largest tree in Mexico. And it's a very spiritual place. Many people go there and spend time. And the Mexicans are so natural in their way how they still connect to these kind of different places. So while we go with crystals and all sorts of equipment and meditate and all this, they just take their family and have a picnic underneath the tree. So that is for them like the connection, and they share that moment with their family with the tree. So, and in the center of this slide, and that's the blueprint which we've taken, this is like the frozen sample of the water which we have collected from the spring, which was right underneath the tree. And what it shows in the center is that there's like a tree stem going up all the way, and it looks almost like branching out.
Yes.
So this is like the physical blueprint. And then we have a way to show also the spiritual, the energetic blueprint, which is the one you showed first, which is on the left. Yeah. And there it shows a different part of the blueprint, which is the energy. You can see that's from the pink, beautiful pinks in the center and the turquoise around. So that was the first time that we ever seen that a blueprint has the ability to show both. So that was a real interesting development. So from there, we were concentrating on 2 different blueprints of the water to show not just the physical form of that blueprint, but also the spiritual. So the next one is a place which we visited, which is Chapala. It's Lake Chapala. And the tragedy of this lake is that it's highly, highly polluted. there are 3 river systems who flow over a huge amount of distance into Lake Chapala, which is literally catching all the toxins, the heavy metals, all the poisons, all the fertilizers and everything which goes into that water, including the raw sewage. And nobody is allowed to swim in Lake Chapala because it is too toxic. The fish are highly mutated. And this is an area which unfortunately is too late to stop this process, but we are trying to raise awareness of and with the indigenous community again, which is on the shores of this lake, to at least stop any further pollution, which is really difficult because it's a lot of political kind of interference. Many of the agricultural developments around this lake are financed and owned by cartels. So that's where the problem is, mainly that you just can't reason with people who are only there to make money. So it's just a very sad story.
Yeah.
So the next, yes. So the next slide is.
It's not moving. I'm just trying to move it along, but it's not. Let me see if I can go back and then. Is that the next one?
No, it's not the next one. Okay, that's the next one. So we also stayed at this beautiful resort, and it's owned by Dr. Lara, which I've been talking to her a lot while I was staying there. She dedicated her whole life into working with the local communities and the indigenous people. She is a beautiful soul, and she has incredible knowledge about how we can communicate with each other so that we establish a community consisting of people who are connected to the indigenous people, so we all listen to each other. And also she's connecting the indigenous groups with each other. That's something which is also very important, because we all kind of hover in our own bubbles and we do our own thing, but there could be so much more done if you would just all connect to each other and would put our egos aside and just listen to each other, right? So that's a big problem in all the spiritual communities as well. So we stayed there, and this is also going to be a part of our Aquan Explorers tour. It's a retreat. It's so peaceful there. It's just incredible, and it's right at the coast. The next slide should show that's the coastline. There's a private beach, and you can swim in the waters, which are consistently in a very pleasant temperature, different to the UK. So it's just amazing. You can just go through the next, okay, that is jump back into one of the slides from Lake Chapala. It's one of the birds which are seen on the shore. It is a beautiful space, but it is a shame. So now that's quite an interesting one. Now I have to go back now quickly explaining that this blueprint was taken from the sand in Linda Vista, where we stayed at the eclipse, solar eclipse in April 8th. And so that's where we usually are in Linda Vista and staying in the dunes with our tents. So we collected some water, some sand, and then used some local water to extract this blueprint. And as you can see quite clearly, there's a structure inside that blueprint which looks like a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
And so we then talked to the indigenous people and we said, okay, tell us a story here, because the blueprint is telling us there is a pyramid underneath the sand, the dunes, and they confirmed that for a very long time, many of the carvings would point out that there is a whole city underneath the sand, and also they believe structures like pyramids. So that was quite interesting. So as you can see, the water is far from just giving us a tiny bit of information, is giving us a whole blueprint of not just the present, but also from the past. And that's what's so interesting. So our communication is getting much more defined and much more developed in that sense. And that's why
the colors as well, Alex. The colors that are picked up.
Yeah, the colors are the color spectrum is heightened by the special lenses which we're using. So the coloring is really important for us, because the next step is to be already working on it, and we had our first results, which are again mind-blowing, but we still have to work on the technical side. So what we're going to do is every blueprint, that's again the resort, the retreat of Dr. Lara. So, but every blueprint, I come to that when you go further to the right. Yeah, there. Now, this is a beautiful blueprint. And this blueprint comes from a meteor, which we have found in the desert. Because again, the zone of silence where we're going with Aquan Explorers is showing a whole area which is totally attracted to meteorites in the sky, and they're just like a magnet, pulling the meteorites into that specific area. So you can literally just pick up hundreds of meteorites in the whole area. It's incredible. And so we used one, and we extracted the information of that specific meteorite. Now, this is the first time that we had this kind of coloration, but also this kind of different design. It's a different design. It almost looks like a 1970s psychedelic painting. So, but it's really, really different from all the others. But what we're going to do is we have taken a slow motion film video from the ice forming. So we had the sequence of all the different colors showing from the outside to the inside. That's how it freezes all the time. It starts on the outside and goes to the center. And we have used the cold plate to do that, and we have then the possibility of doing a time-lapse video. In that time-lapse video, we then establish which color comes first and how long the color of each area takes to freeze and to show. So there's a lot of data involved, and once we have translated that data into a program, we can do this with all the water samples. But what we're doing is we're connecting each color to a sound, like it is, for example, in our chakras. And this sound then will be connected to the appearance of the colors within the eyes, the timing and such, so that we can translate it into a melody. So that is, in ancient times, they call it the song of the water. They already knew that each water has its own song. It's a bit like the water language. And the plan is to use these waters to communicate with other waters through not only the visual, but also through the sound. And that's where we're going. So also for us humans, it's quite interesting to see if it is possible to create that sound or melody from a healing water, which then can be played to us humans to see what kind of healing potential it has.
Gosh, Amazing.
So that's again Lake Chapala. I must have slipped in somehow. Yeah, that's near Chapala and near the ocean. So there's this beautiful valley which has all these incredible carvings, hundreds and hundreds of them. And so we spent there all day to investigate all the different carvings, and the water, of course, is a very sacred area. There are still indigenous people who go there to do their ceremonies. So yes, so there are so many wonderful places in Mexico. There you can see like the vision tree, and there's the pond where you can go into the pond and receive the healing from the waters. And you can see how it's kind of almost like a milky substance. And again, it's so rich in minerals.
Beautiful. Oh, I've picked that up twice. That's it.
So that's like, we also had some funny, bit humorous slides of the blueprint. I was on an island, and there was a water source just near what looked like a ruin of a house or a dwelling. And so I asked the water what was there. And so it gave me this house-like structure.
Wow.
What looks like just a confirmation of what was there before. So it's really interesting how the water is communicating, but very, very clearly. Yeah, that was, we found a crab, and the crab was alive, no harm done. So I put the crab into a little bit of water just for a moment, and then I extracted the water to see if I could extract the blueprint of the crab, and it showed us this crab-like.
Wow.
So it was really nice to see that. So it's really, really smart how that is something amazing. We went to the Laguna here, Bacalar, and one of the guys who is very, very connected, his name is Sergio, and he is really in tune with the Laguna as well. And he has agreed to dive quite deep down into the Laguna and bring up a sample. And when we extracted the blueprint, finally you can see there is a person, the shape of a person.
Yes.
Yes. So it shows him literally going down into the water and bringing up this beautiful blueprint. All these colorations are going towards him. And if you see it closer, you can see it's going to his pineal gland. It's really fascinating.
Wow.
So yeah, so we had this one, and yeah, that was something that was an experiment where we asked one of the main blueprints which we collected from the water to heal another one, another source of water which wasn't as healthy as a source from the healing water. And the healing water, the two petri dishes were next to each other. And what happened is the healing water who was asked to heal the other water was going into a blank. There was nothing on it. It reset itself to a blank. And we have done this 5 times with different waters, and we always had a blank. What the importance of that is, I'm not 100% sure yet. We need to do more tests on it, but it shows clearly that the water has like a self reset button somewhere where I can say, okay, I go into neutral mode to heal the water next to me. So that was very, very interesting.
Very interesting, and that does line up with something that I learned about yesterday. Very interesting.
So there's one of the water samples which we took from the Laguna. You can see it's very clear, absolutely pristine water. And the blueprints, I think, are coming up next. I think, yeah, that's the main blueprint of the Laguna. I mean, absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful.
And yes, it shows also a goldenish center. And this particular lagoon is known to be a portal. And you can see that very clearly. So this is a water blueprint which we have collected way back in April on the day, actually the moment of the solar eclipse. And it looks like, the center looks like the dunes from above. And it shows the moment when the shadow from the moon is drifting over the land, the moment of totality. And that's exactly what it looked like when we were in that moment in the desert. So, and we heard also an eagle above our heads, but there was no bird at that moment. But here on the blueprint, you can see there's almost like a winged creature on the bottom of the blueprint, which I think is symbolizing, is a symbol for the bird.
Beautiful.
So the next one, so there is a portal as well. You can see the center is a portal. Now, this is incredible. And that's why we want to have this network, because this is like a huge distance away, 1,500 kilometers, I think, or so, in Bacala, and it's from the Laguna here. It shares a very similar blueprint. You can see again the winged creature, like a bird or phoenix. The center, like from the dunes, very similar, just different coloration. And these two waters, and we have done this on an ongoing basis since we're here, have shared quite a lot of information. So both places are portals. So the portals seem to communicate with each other, even so in such a there's such a distance between them. So that is very, very interesting. And that's why I think the network of all the water guardians would be from such of such importance, because we could see which waters are communicating already with each other. That's one day where we stayed in the desert, and it was just a really beautiful evening, and there was nobody around us for miles and miles. So we just were in that moment, taking pictures, chilling out, and connecting with the desert. It's an incredible area, and it doesn't do it justice, because the colors in the sky are just mind-blowing.
Oh.
And yes, there is a sound to that. Don't know. You need.
I don't think it. This is. Ah.
That's a shame. This is a big part of Ejido La Flor. And that's the moment we left Ejido La Flor, and they were waving, and such happy people, always happy. Yes. Yes. Anyway, that's I think. Don't know if there's anything else coming, but I think that's the last.
I think that was the last one, Alex. Yeah. Wow. So, thank you for sharing all that with us.
Yes, it is. It has been an incredible journey, and still is. But for me, it is really important to push the network and to establish that in every country. That would be so important. And also the indigenous groups which we're working with have also agreed to be part of it, and they're very interested in it, because they see themselves as a group of people who slightly have lost the connection to their wisdom. So for all of us, it is a chance to reconnect through water, and I think it's a beautiful thing to do.
Actually, Alex, phenomenal what you're doing. It really, really is. Do you have any idea when you might come home?
Yes, I'm not too far now away. So I have only a few more days here and then I will make my way back. So I was just waiting for the storm to pass because the storm has been quite strong. So I wouldn't have liked to fly in that. I'm quite scared of flying anyway. But
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Honestly, it's amazing. And for sharing it, and anything I can do to help with you know, the connection wherever, you know I will.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm actually planning, I mentioned it, I think, to Bob, to give another talk in Hampshire. I think that would be really nice for the people to tune in and to see some more images because there's so many. I've taken like hundreds and hundreds of photos from all the different places.
Yeah.
And I could be here for hours to talk about it. But yeah, it would be nice to give another talk and to catch up with everybody, especially the community in Hampshire. There's such nice people. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex. Anyone that's watching, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie. And
Honestly, best of luck. Have a wonderful journey home when you do get on the plane.
Thank you. I see you soon.
Yeah, see you.